If nobody's ever given you permission before, I do. Why not? Go give it a try. Check it out. I'm saying check it out because it was surprising to me. It was pretty surprising. Things that you wouldn't think that you relate to, you really do more than you might assume. And at the very least, I think that it helps to develop compassion for the other sex, to walk a mile in their shoes, like quite literally. Also, how put on the spot you will feel, not just because you're a guy in drag, but just the way women feel to begin with in general. The eyes on you, the sizing you up, the judging you, the is it good enough, my physical appearance? You feel that immediately, and you'll understand, like, oh, that's why we're so high strung about the way we look, because it's important.
I'm more than happy to go. I am fearless. That's my whole deal here. I'm on a mission from the pumper of universe, and I feel that this is the thing that I must do right now. I'm happy to be here with you, and I hope this isn't garbage. So I really had to make a big point there of saying, there's a sexual part and there's a gender part, and they are interrelated, but you should consider them differently and with different terms. And this is the same why I'm saying morality is the 9-year-old girl has no sexual personhood. They're just a gender. It's just a gender without sex, right? It's like a phantom gender. And that's because they're not ready. But there are hormones, and there is an unconscious kind of pull that you have to monitor, and you have to advise them, careful, We are sexual creatures, and a part of the dialogue that I don't like, that worries me and kind of weirds me out, is that we pretend that these two, gender and sex and orientation, that these are so separate that they are not related. And I think that's a disservice. I think that's that makes me sad, honestly. So maybe it makes you happy. So I'm just trying to again, I'm just reasoning this out. That makes me sad because I want to be able to treat these things separately. In the case of children, I've made that point several times now. But just to understand that it is a somewhat bigoted position at this point to believe that women wear attractive clothing to attract men, to be sexy, to be hot. You look at your body and you feel good about yourself because you're pretty. That's not a sexual thing. It's related. It's interrelated, but it's not the same thing. Desire to be cute and pretty and whatever girls are. How different is a male and a female? Humans are humans as humans, right? And I think gender can be a really distorting element, and it makes us feel like we're so different. Boys and girls, we're so different. And maybe some of us are, but I'm not so different. I'm like fluid with that. I don't see why you wouldn't be. I don't see why playing with a Barbie isn't more fun than playing with like a pew, pew, pew gun. They're great. Both of them are great. I'll do all of it. If you want me to do a video where I talk about my sexuality, straight up, no problem with that. I am so sex positive. I don't think I could put that on YouTube, and I think that I don't know what it would really help. So understand that as I approach this topic of gender, there's this hidden layer that we're not talking about, which is sexuality, sexual orientation, sexual urges. And we're just not talking about it right now. Just like, when we're trying to understand, why does a 9-year-old girl wear a pretty pink dress and want to be a princess? We're not really talking about getting boned. we're just talking. We're just like, why do you do that? Why do you want to do that? What does it feel like? How does it? And especially as a male, in my upbringing, your parents model the male and female for you. It's kind of Freudian, but pretty basic stuff. It's basic to this sort of talk. I was just in this position where the father wasn't there, and the mother was the provider. So it's kind of just like a feminine provider. It was like a female deity, and the male was off somewhere on Olympus, gone, and not gone. I'm not trying to make it about that. It's not about that. Just my father was not a primary caretaker. He was not. He didn't really form me, or I don't have much of an internalized my father, but I have an enormous internalized my mother. And I grew up. What I can say is that I grew up with some boys in a boy environment. There weren't a lot of girls around. I didn't hang out with a lot of girls. And among my peers, the play activities we did, I was more, I would immediately kind of go to dolls, and I would go, and sports weirded me out. I don't like competitiveness. I've always kind of found it a little weird. Fighting behavior, arguing behavior, kind of putting people in their place, petty one-upmanship. If we are to talk just in general, and I'm not an expert, about differences between men and women in terms of competencies, it seems like because women are the bringers of, they bring up the children in a lot of classical situations, throughout history, they seem to develop communication a little quicker, and maybe a little bit culturally may have more of a tendency to be attentive to social communicative things. And I really value that. That's a really huge value for me. Awareness of tone, and the way other people feel, and the way what you're saying is affecting them. I've always felt more comfortable with women because they seem to be, like me, more kind of into that, more interested in that. And I've always felt a little bit, not bad, but just a little bit chafed. I with like the male, like constant, like, prove it, get out, I'll outrun you. And cute, fun, cool, no problem. Not trying to say like I hate boys or anything like that. Just that I've always had this kind of mild preference, this kind of draw towards the feminine. And so you can see archetypally how, it's like the ugly duckling was actually a swan. It's like, this occurred to me at a certain point, pretty much through the formation of my actual, like, adulthood. This kind of dawned on me that more and more I have this gender dysphoria, that I don't like shopping for boys' clothes. That's not fun for me. I don't like looking at my boy self in the mirror. I don't think of myself as like a guy, yeah, that's cool. I like that. Get me a beard. Yeah, let's go throw some footballs, yeah, football. None of this is interesting or appealing to me. And it's not just because I'm a nerd. It's because I'm a girl. Like that's what it feels like. It's just like the way that women respond to that is kind of the way I respond to that. So, but I'm not a girl too. So it's like I don't fit in there, and I don't fit in here, and that's fine. Of course, I'm being weird. So like, yeah, like you don't super hard to Craigslist for all female houses when you're a transgender male. Let's just say. And so, okay, so why is that so important to me? I think that's interesting because, and hopefully the queer community can also relate to this, the shame of going out in drag in the 90s, let's say, in some town, was you felt like people thought you were a perv, like you were doing something creepy, like you were getting off in public kind of thing. And that was, you get that vibe a lot. And it makes you go, oh, wait, am I doing that? Like, geez, I don't want to be that person. I just, I was hoping I could go out like this and it would be okay with everyone, more than anything. But, I would get a lot of kind of responses that were pretty intense. And so I didn't generally do it. As much as everyone would have accepted it, and it would have been okay for the most part with everyone, at the time, it would have been a major social setback. And it wasn't my hill to die on. So I didn't do it. I did it in private. And because I'd never done it before and it was a private thing, it was like sneaking off and exploring this whole world. So I really have to disambiguate those. I'm more than happy to talk about the sex and sexuality of it. It's just this isn't the video where I do that. This is the PG. We're talking about gender. But I just have to stress that I understand that a lot of the emotional charge is coming from a sexual place and a psychosexual place. And that a lot of, take a breath, a lot of what motivates transgender behavior is sexual in nature. A lot of what motivates all gendered behavior is sexual in nature. It's related to sex. And I feel like because of that fear of being perceived as pervy when you go out and drag, some tranny, some weirdo, it's almost like we really kind of don't want to talk about the sexuality. And so I want to say this, I'm not going to talk about it here, but I want to make darn clear that that's a good point, and that is something that's worthy of investigating and going into. And this is a 9-year-old girl explaining why she wants to wear a pretty pink dress instead of baggy shirt, baseball cap, and I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. So I'm growing up and I'm sort of in these competitive environments, and it's like I lost a basketball game, like our first major game when I was on a team, because I felt weird about us beating the other team. So I let them win at like the last minute. And I wrestled James Bond when I was in wrestling. We went to the tournament or whatever, and I could have licked him, but I just let him pin me because he'd come all this way to like beat someone at wrestling. And he seemed like a good guy, and I was kind of getting weirded out by the whole thing anyway. Again, I'm not saying girls aren't competitive or anything like that. I'm just saying in terms of those like 90s ass, like those classical ass like values, like yeah. So I'm having this gender dysphoria, and I'm kind of finding in myself that like I don't want to fit in that way. I don't want to compete with that. I kind of almost feel offended by everyone assuming that I do in a lot of ways. And it becomes more and more offensive to me. I hang out with a lot of guys just how like women who aren't sexually attractive are just like nobody. They're like an elderly person or something and I don't treat elderly people that way. I just mean, they get like I wouldn't know what to say to you or whatever. And the attractive women are just like this beacon, like, oh, they're so interesting, they're so funny, did you talk to her, she's so cute? Or it is gross, it is gross that we're so psychosexual, that we're so sexually motivated, that so much of our self-worth comes from being sexually attractive to people that are sexually attractive to us. That is kind of like demeaning to us as intellectual and moral creatures, is it not? That when I lose 50 pounds, everyone gives me more attention. And when I go into a store, they smile at me for longer. And when I go and approach a woman, like she's more receptive to what I'm doing. Duh. That's just kind of like how this stuff is. And it's sad in a lot of cases. Because some people just won't make it. They just don't have the physical, or they have some issues that make them not conventionally attractive to everyone, and they're treated like garbage their entire life. And when you're a dude in drag, that's kind of how you look. You're kind of an ugly woman. I mean, not you. I'm definitely not talking about you. And I'm beautiful in my own way. I just mean, I'm not going to be like an underwear model as a woman. Like, I just don't, like, I got a man body. And like, they don't need a lot of models to model this, because not a whole lot of people are like as gender fluid as this. So they don't sell a lot of clothes. So like, that would be kind of senseless. Hey, if you need any TG models that look like me, call me up. I'm in the market. I mean, I'm in the job market right now. So I'm kind of disgruntled with the simplicity of that situation. And I think a lot of us are. I think that's like a pretty common thing. And it's kind of universal. It's just human. It's human nature. Sexuality. It's a competition. It's silly. We do this to make sure our genetics are very good. Historically, not so sure that's relevant anymore. I was very insecure. If I seem really cocky, please understand that you are looking at a person who thought that they were completely socially unacceptable for like the first third of their life. That thought nobody could possibly love this guy. He's such a doofus. He's such a dipshit. He's fat and stupid and just like, why did he say that? What an idiot, and I'd always like look at the ground. I would never look at anyone. I was like hunched over and my toes would point in, and I just wasn't ready ever. And we could go into all that, but yeah, I was at a disadvantage. The whole story of my life is that I don't accept that. I've made just so much progress in terms of learning that you don't have to be that person. You don't have to be a self-described loser. You don't have to feel like a failure. Whatever you work really hard at can be a source of pride. Might not be a source of great reward, but it can it can be a source of pride. I sort of feel like I'm faced a lot with the decision of whether I should present this way or not. I want to play a part in normalizing gender fluidity, and I feel like I have. And beyond that, I still feel like, in spite of all the motion that's been made, all in all, it still is pretty socially unacceptable. If I get a job, if I show up for an interview in a skirt and I get a job, it'll be because they have a transgender quota, even though I seemed like kind of a weird person. But if you factor that out, in general, you go out and you're wearing a skirt and people just are like, you stand out. People think you're kind of weird or crazy. And it's harder to approach women. They feel a little like there's an elephant in the room, maybe in some cases. And you're not taken as seriously. So would I still do it just for the pride of it? Because I can? Because we've won that? Because you can do it now? It's okay to do it? And still be punished and to a certain extent ridiculed and definitely limited from things. You know, there's a world of difference in my dating app activity, depending whether of the 8 pictures, one of them I'm presenting as female versus not. I get a lot less attention when there's one picture of me presenting as female. Because it's just it's a can of worms, you know, it's an extra bit of baggage. It's one more thing to consider. It's like, oh, okay, wait, is this going to be a thing? Is this like, it ends up affecting a great many things and becoming sort of not worth it. In romantic relationships, I date someone and, you know, I ask them, do you like this? Is this okay? Does this bother you a little bit? And I'm not saying like I'm putting my heart out there for them to shit on it. It's like, whatever you say, that's just the truth. And like, if you're not interested, if this is unappealing to you, I don't mind not doing it. It's no big deal to me, really. I don't mind. You didn't ask for this. But, you know, if I'm dating someone who's trying to be like open to things or open-minded or to accept me for who I am, and they say, yeah, that's okay, you know, just you do you. And then, but secretly they find it very kind of unattractive. It's kind of creepy, maybe all these things I've suggested before. It just isn't masculine and manly, and, you know, that's what they want. So, you know, maybe in as much as like people accept this about me, I'm really like becoming unattractive to people who are, I guess, just are unable to tell me that they find this unattractive. So this is a fun idea. I wanted to post this poll everywhere, and I wanted to take a poll, and because this is like a fucking serious question. There's so much baloney, and I want you to be dead serious. Just don't worry about it. Just be dead serious. I'm like, okay, if you're a male or a female or other can be so many things. I just mean, you know, do you generally think you're male or female? It's okay to, you know, I'm not saying you need to do that. Just other is everyone else. And then orientation, you know, are you attracted to men predominantly, the male? Are you attracted to more male or more female predominantly, or other? Are you attracted to everyone, no one, there's a whole galaxy there too. Say an otherwise attractive male is dressed in pretty women's clothing. Do you find this attractive? Do you find this not noteworthy, insignificant, doesn't matter? Do you find this maybe a little like, that's kind of funny, a little weird, a little strange, I don't know, I'm not really into it? Or maybe I'm still in that category like, okay, well, whatever, cool. Like, you know, like if it was a kink, you know, just something, I don't know, whatever. So, and then, ooh, I don't like it. Whether I'm going to be, you know, say that to them or not. I mean, just like in your heart, your reaction to it. You know, here's a guy in drag. Ew, that's unattractive to me. That weirds me out. That's creepy. You know, I think if we were all being honest, just from the impression that I get going around, it is pretty unattractive. It's cool because it's subversive to people who are into subversive stuff, like David Bowie, like cool, very cool, you know. Motley Crue, very cool, but Like if you're just like dead ass, you look like you were born a male and you're wearing female clothes, as I do. It's not cool. It's not sexy. It's not hot. When people say it is, they're being gracious and they're being body positive. I'm very body positive. I engage in this. I find myself pretty. I talk about it and I show off, and I'm body positive. I'm not kidding myself. But I think if we weren't kidding ourselves and we were just like to say like straight up, if you're a male who wants to be gender fluid, transvestite, or transgender, and you want to be with a female, the pool of people who find it a positive sexual attractor is probably, just in my experience, it's probably exceedingly low. The not really caring or it not being a major big deal kind of thing would be pretty typical in my sorts of circles. I know that's not everyone. In a lot of places, it wouldn't be so typical to find that acceptable. Unattractive, unacceptable. I think if we were being honest with ourselves, like even like among people who want to signal or portray themselves as finding it, oh, you're so stunning, or whatever, like they find it kind of, sexually, if they're being honest, if they're being real. That's been my experience, and it's a disheartening experience because, there's no reason, they don't have any obligation to anybody to be attracted to one thing or another. What you like is what you like. And so, thus, as I go out there dating, I can't really be who I feel like I am. And so, and as I go out, getting into long-term relationships, also, it's like, I can't really be who I am. You know what? Being single, as they call it, single, I can be exactly who I want. And I think that I really like to. I think that I'm really satisfied with that. I'm pretty happy with that. And when I get into something with someone, it's easy for me to do. I fall in love easily. How much the me being a transvestite is a distraction. It's easy for me to be in the relationship, but they seem to fall apart, and then I'm back feeling bad about the relationship, and then that goes away, and then I'm just good, just happy. And the next one comes along. I've never put any effort into it. I just like to dance. Maybe maybe I shouldn't do it. Maybe it would be more simple to just not expose as much of myself, right? I'm not afraid of sharing anything. And I think that kind of makes me a great person to be sharing something like this. As I got older and people became kind of more comfortable with sexuality and became more of a thing, I started hanging out with females more, and they kind of pushed me out a little bit more. Particularly you've seen Amy on the show. I've known her forever. She was one of the ones that was really kind of like, oh, let's dress you up. Let's go outside. Let's go. No, they'll beat me. My parents will see me. But so I've been doing this literally since like my formation of my mind. It's not like, it's pretty fundamental to who I am, that I kind of see myself this way, and that becomes behavior. That becomes the way I dress. And like if for a girl it was socially unacceptable to dress feminine, how big of an imposition would it be to tell them to stop doing that, or for them to have to stop doing that in order to fit in? Pretty big, right? And that's kind of how I feel, having to dress this way, not because everyone's forcing me to or making me, just because of nature, the way things are, that you don't want to look kind of weird. I kind of look like a guy, so I should kind of dress like a guy, and then I'll just look like a normal old guy, any old baby. But you start putting, all kinds of ribbons in my hair and everything, maybe better to just be a little more androgynous instead of like the way I want to dress, which is cute. If you're not like me, you would not believe how good it felt to be able to do that in public. I moved to Portland, and just doing it with my friends was this huge watershed, And I moved to a very, very liberal place where it wasn't every day, but you would see people wearing, trans people. So she was like, wow, yeah. And so I'm doing it, and it's just normal. Nobody cares. Nobody bats an eye. Nobody, nothing happens. You just, I'm a girl. It's fine. Everything's fine. The birds are singing. Oh boy, you wouldn't believe how good that felt. You wouldn't believe it. How much I cried. How victorious that felt after all that time, keeping it in the closet or, whatever, and being punished for doing it. And then all of a sudden, hey, you're out of prison. It's okay. You just do it. We're not even asking why. Doesn't matter. Great for me. I wasn't a part of that movement. This is what I'm saying. It just kind of happened all around me. And oh boy, I took advantage of it, and I'm so grateful for all that. Maybe some of the narratives seem a little absurd to you, but just understand the absurdity of the counter narrative. The absurdity of the counter narrative. I'm going to beat you up because you're dressing like a girl. That's a threat to me. Boys should be boys. Girls should be girls. I'm open to this. Let's talk about this. Should boys be boys? Should girls? Am I stupid for acting this way? Yeah. I mean, let's look at this. I'm just like I'm saying, show me the results of the poll. I'm trying to be sexually attractive in real life, not just in my imagination. I can continue to be sexually attractive to myself in private, and I can go out in public disguised as a sexually attractive male so that I can hang out with all the cool people. That's stupid. But I'm playing the game. I'm not going to not play the game. Layers. Then you have to do layers. You have to do personae. And you wish you could be authentic. And in some situations you can. And that feels wonderful. Oh my God. And this is the thing. Like if you're queer and you were, I'm not speaking for you, but I'm just saying if you're queer and people have told you it's sinful, it's evil, your parents reject you, oh, it's weird, don't talk about it, oh no, I'm sure you like girls, all this. And then you just go somewhere where everyone's just like, oh, you're queer, cool, yeah, like, hey, I know this guy, you might want to talk to. Wow, so cool. Unbelievable. You won the lottery, It felt like that, it feels like that. And it's hard to even imagine if you've never kind of been through that, how right in your heart it feels, how good you feel about it, okay? So that... With all that being said, then it's like, okay, so then I've been pretty gender fluid. I appear as a male, I appear as a female. That's not weird to me. It's weird in some cases. The warriors, the people who are really fighting for this thing will bulldoze through saying, I have the right to do this. And bless you for doing that in most cases. That ain't me. I'm just trying to play ball here. Sometimes it's hard to get a net on really, truly, do people accept this? Or do they feel like you have to fit in socially, so you have to accept this? But I think this guy's a little suspect. I don't know if I would let him hang out with my kids. I don't wonder why he, and it seems glib again, but I do it for the same reason that women do it. And you say, oh, to attract men. That isn't why. That's involved. And in my case, it's not involved. If it happened, then it happened, and that's fine. But it's not my goal. And I'll tell you one thing, when a girl wears a super tight outfit that shows off all kinds of things, she wears that to the gym, it's not because she wants somebody to come up and talk to her and hit on her in a lot of cases. It's just because it feels good to be pretty. Even if you have to kind of use your imagination. But I understand that it's shocking, and it may seem to you like I do it to be shocking. And that's sad, because I'm hoping that it would just be like a normal thing, and that it wouldn't be hard for you, like that you're not worried about whether you need to address me as male or female. I don't mind, whatever you want. I don't care if you want to think I'm gay or straight or male or transgender. Like, these are just words to me that don't really matter that much. I'm willing to play these roles, but I have to be clear with you that these roles are just natural to me. This is just who I am. The sense of nailing it. I'm nailing it. I'm doing great. This is who I want to be. I'm the archetype of me. This is good. You feel that. It's a really intuitive, it's like a deep feature. It's a deep thing. And I feel that in the feminine portrayal and the feminine expression. I feel that. I feel like this is right. don't feel like I'm trying to creep you out or shock you. I also don't feel like you need to praise it or support it or anything. That's not, that doesn't, I know that helps, and that did once help, and that helps a lot of people, so that's good. I'm not saying that. I just mean I'm not fishing for anything of that nature. What I would like, I'm not asking, I'm just saying this is what I would like, to just be treated the way a woman would be treated if she looked like me. Just a woman. Hi, I'm a woman, and kind of a tomboy. Have a lot of male features, have a very low voice. Why is that so weird? I'm a super feminine lady. It doesn't matter if you can't handle that because the body's male, though. That's a lie. Okay, then I'm a effeminate male. I don't care. I don't need to teach you what you know already. That's fine. I just want you to know that there are some of us out here for whom it's not about making a social statement. It's about my psychosexual nature. It's about my soul. That I feel like I'm subtly really in touch with that feminine side of things. I like that about myself. I adore that about myself. And maybe I adore it a little less if people have psychosexual hang-ups where they feel very challenged by the fact that I wear women's underwear. That's such a big deal. Who cares? Why would that trouble you at all? Do you think about your grandma? Do you think about your grandma's underwear? Do you think about a baby's... Well, I guess you do think about the diapers quite a bit, don't you? It's fine. And the other, thing is it's fine to talk about it. It's fine to challenge me. It's fine to ask questions. You should be curious. It's very strange. It's a very strange thing. I mean, nowadays the world's changed so much. I have tons of female friends, and we just kind of go around and we're shopping and we're giving each other hand-me-downs. It's just normal. It's because that's the culture that's been created around me by me coming out about this, and that's the benefit of kind of being upfront about it and being real about it. It's in the kind of conventional things you don't do very well, but you will find those people who are get it, that it's just some people are different, It's so tolerated these days, but then there's so much pushback to the tolerance of it, and it becomes this big battlefield. I think it's a very reasonable position to just hi, I'm a boy that doesn't really want to do the boy thing. I like to do the girl thing. I'm not asking you to do anything for me or to treat me any way other than just understand why I'm not participating in the male thing, and don't get mad at me or judge me or just don't worry about it. If you want to treat me like a girl, treat me like a girl. If you want to treat me bad at being a guy, that's fine too.
I think it's a good illustrative example, and I'm just going to reiterate, I did not do this on purpose. It's really embarrassing. When you express feminine, if you see a lot of videos on the internet, and you see up someone's skirt, and you're how could they let that happen? Didn't they watch that? Didn't they know that? You don't even realize, when you're you don't look up there. It's not of interest to you. And so we did a yoga video, and I had edited. I watched the whole thing. It's in low quality when I edit it because my computers are slow, but when I uploaded it in HD and I watched it back, there had already been 100 people who had watched it, and you really see a lot up my skirt. I've been lulled into a false sense of security by these tennis skirts that have these shorts inside. So shorts in there. It really rode up, and you could really see. Nobody commented. I don't think anyone cares. It's just when I watched it and I noticed that all of a sudden, I'm oh no. That's just one of those things that can happen because I've been a male for the most part most of my life. And you, again, when you're presenting that way, you wouldn't even think of how much thought you have to put into not showing up your skirt when you're wearing a short skirt. And I really like these tennis skirts these days because you can stand on your head, you can get away with anything, and they're short skirts, but you can't see anything because they have these internal. But so this one, it was just a little either too tight or not tight enough. I don't know. it kind of got me thinking. It's like, oh god, are people gonna think I'm like being weird? And this is the kind of thought process you have when you're like me. It's like, is everyone gonna think I'm a pervert? I accidentally like showed more than I meant to. I don't think anyone will be bothered, but it's unfortunate, that like I think that you're much more likely when I do that to suspect dubious motives than when a 9-year-old girl does it, as stated before. It's been a bit of a slog for me to try and make like a coherent yoga video that's like kind of done in my own style, and that was a yoga related video, and it's a fun video. I want to encourage people to try that because it's really fun. The partner stand thing, just try it with someone. It's really fun. You wouldn't probably, you probably wouldn't do that unless I asked you to. So try to do the airplane with someone. It's really fun. So I really like that video, and I really like the area where we shot it. I thought it was really cute, and I wanted, it was worth it to upload that video, even though I kind of ruined it. But I'll be more careful about that, by the way, too.